Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are excited to have you join us for today's webinar, which is the Modern CTMS Blueprint for Faster Clinical Trials. My name is Pooja Sood, and I'll be your host as we explore how to improve clinical operations, digitize data collection, and achieve rigorous compliance in today's landscape. Now, before we get started, I have a quick housekeeping items to ensure a smooth session. This session is being recorded to keep audio clear. All participants are on mute. We would love to hear from you, so please use the Q&A section to submit your questions and we'll take them up towards the end of this session in the Q&A round. To reduce distractions, please ensure your personal devices are on silent mode. And if you encounter any technical issues, please inform us in the chat. A recording will be posted on our website and emailed to all who have signed up for this webinar. But you can always visit us at www.cloudbase.com or book a demo with us at info@cloudbase.com. We have a full agenda today designed to help you modernize your clinical trials. So we'll start with an introduction to Cloudbase and our speakers. Then we will discuss the problem of disconnected solutions and growing regulatory pressure. We will dive into our one platform solution and see its performance in practice and introduce the Cloudbase CTMS AI agent. Finally, we will wrap up with a live demo and a dedicated Q&A session. Now let's meet the speakers for today. We first have Tunir joining us from India. He is a life sciences solutions manager specializing in bridging the gap between complex trial requirements and technology. You can always connect with him at tunir.das@cloudbase.com. Next, we have Wade joining us from Chicago. He's a product manager. He specializes in driving tech innovations in healthcare and life sciences to enhance clinical outcomes. You can connect with Wade at vedant.srivastava@cloudbase.com. And I'm Pooja Sood, your webinar host. You can always reach out to me at pooja.sood@cloudbase.com. Now, for those meeting Cloudbase for the first time, we are one of the fastest growing providers of AI-enabled e-clinical solutions. Our platform is 100% cloud native, offering scalability and modularity to suit your specific business needs. We empower organizations, right from Fortune 500 leaders to agile startups, to streamline trial lifecycle and deliver life-saving therapies faster to market. Our comprehensive suite covers the entire clinical spectrum, including the CTMS, CTFM, EDC, eTMF, and safety and pharmacovigilance. Through our AI Innovation Hub, Cloudbase integrates advanced intelligence directly into the trial lifecycle to automate complex tasks and enhance decision-making. We recently launched the Cloudbase AI eTMF agent, which automates document filing, metadata capture, and quality checks to ensure your trial is always inspection ready. We will also discuss the CTMS AI agent today, which enables quality by design by providing pre-visit intelligence and real-time execution support to streamline monitoring. Additionally, earlier this year, we also launched the Clean Translate AI, which provides a seamless, secure translation layer that empowers human translators by understanding clinical terminology across global studies. We are proud to be ISO 9001 and 27001 certified and fully compliant with global regulations, including FDA 21 CFR Part 11, GCP, and HIPAA. Cloudbase is also featured in the Everest Group PEAK Matrix as a major contender for both our CTMS and EDIC products. We are headquartered in Chicago, US, with regional offices in Toronto and Bengaluru. We provide global support across all time zones. You could always visit us on cloudbase.com or email info@cloudbase.com for more information. Now, without further ado, I'll hand over to Tanir.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pooja, for setting the introduction about CloudBiz. I would now like to take the discussion forward by talking about a challenge that we consistently face across most of the clinical trials that we have today, wherein the systems they seemingly work very well individually, but then struggle to work together. So let's start with something real here. So we at CloudBiz we do a lot of talking with ClinOps teams across the globe. And almost in every single one of the conversations, we have been told by our clients that like they almost have all the tools that they need for every specific clinical trial application, but then all of those tools, they lack that that feature of providing that overarching value of collecting all of that information and giving a uniform value to them, from you know unifying and harmonizing the data across different tools. Like, say for example, your CTMS is logging the progress of your trials, your EDC is capturing the data, and then your eTMF is storing documents. Now, although everything is technically working together, but still you are not able to see the real health of your trial, right? And in line with that, here are 5 patterns that we keep seeing across different discussions that we have with our sponsors and CROs, and I'm sure that you would also recognize at least a few of them. First of all, there is no single source of truth. When your CTMS, EDC, and eTMF are separate, you end up with almost 3 different versions of reality. And when an auditor asks a question, you're actually scrambling across these different systems to piece together an answer. Now, this leads to another major issue, which is manual reconciliation. And this happens because all of these systems, they do not simultaneously talk with each other, right? And because of that, there is always some level of misalignment. So there is CTMS versus EDC data misalignment where the data does not match. The eTMF filings are sometimes getting delayed. Even the budgets, the budgetary figures, the actuals do not match with the forecasts. And that is when you would actually have a CRA or a data manager who would need to spend hours every week reconciling that data that should already be matching in the first place. So now, as your effort for reconciliation grows, also starts, you also start missing out on certain compliance aspect. You might be, it might just be so that you are compliant on paper, but then you are not actually inspection ready. The document does exist, the audit trail does exist, but then it is just not traceable and non-explainable. And if a regulator shows up and asks that can you show me the reason for this particular decision and the trail that you have followed for this particular deviation, you would need to manually pull things together from different emails and from different systems, and that, as you might already understand, is not a very good place to be. So along all of these, now while we are already trying to solve these problems, then there is the added regulatory pressure of ICH E6R3, which is pushing the industry towards risk driven oversight. And in fact, risk-based decisions become very difficult if your insights are bodied across, different platforms. And, finally, as we move along, as trials get more complex, we are adding more endpoints, more vendors get into the loop, and more data gets sourced and gets added within the frame. And due to this, the operational drag of a clinical trial also compounds. Your operational expenditure, before you realize, grows up exponentially, since every new system that gets added brings in a new integration, and every new vendor that you add kind of adds to the friction in your operations. So that is about the problems that the clinical trials of today are facing. Let's move to the next slide. So now, after talking of the problems, let's also look at it from a regulatory perspective. Now, as you all must be aware, ICH E6R3 is already bringing in a fundamental shift in how regulators are expecting clinical trials to be designed and overseen. And the question that we all must be asking is, whether our current tech stack is actually ready to align to this update. Based on our research and understanding, we have listed down the major themes of differences that we all need to account for in the E6R3 era. The first is essential records. It's no longer enough just to store documents, but then regulators are actually looking for context. They want to understand why a decision was made, not just why a document exists, but then there has to be traceability built into the system, not reconstructed after a particular fact or after a particular deviation has happened. Second of all, risk-based oversight must be built into the system, not as a feature add-on, not as not managed separately in spreadsheets, but then it has to be it has to be it has to be native within the system, and it has to be live from day one. And that is very different from the way typical legacy CTMS systems are designed. Third of all, sponsor oversight for CROs is under increased scrutiny. Regulators now want sponsors who actually know what the CROs are doing, not just from a contractual standpoint, but from an operational day-to-day standpoint as well. And if you can't really give and if you really don't have real-time visibility into the CRO performance, then that is actually a gap from a regulator's lens. Fourthly, direct access to source data is now non-negotiable. So, regulators want direct auditable access, which means your system needs to support that cleanly as well as securely. Fifth, quality by design. So right from the protocol stage, and this means building quality checks, risk flags and compliance triggers right into the workflow starting from day one of your trial. And sixth, we finally move to the training compliance, which also needs to be audited, and it has to be auditable as well. Not tracked, through a spreadsheet, not manually chased, but definitely auditable and fully automated as well. Okay, so moving along. Next slide, please. So now we have spoken about the problems that typically the trials of today face due to disconnected systems, as well as we have spoken about the regulatory pressure as well. Now let's talk about how the answer really looks like. And this is where we just want to kind of make something clear here, that we are not talking of adding just another tool to your stack. It is not going to be another integration project. It is rather going to be consolidating everything that you have, all clinical trial applications that you have on one unified platform that was built from ground up to handle all of these operations, different operations together in a very versatile manner. And with this vision, the team has built CloudBusy Clinical, because we believe that the only way we can solve this problem is by having one platform, one data model, and one source of truth, not connected systems through APIs, but then one system that is built on one common data model. So what you're looking at here on this slide is basically a structure which has 5 capabilities that, when they live together on a single platform, will change how your clinical operations work in practice. Now let me take you through them one by one. The first being essential records. So when your CTMS, eTMF, EDC are on the same platform, you tend to get end-to-end traceability. Documents, data decisions, all in one validated system. No more, you will have documents in the eTMF, but then the context lies in your email, and you will have to cross-check them individually. The second is real-time data access. Now, this is about giving sponsors and teams actual visibility across all of your internal systems and vetted data without waiting for weekly reports. Now, when something changes at a site, you actually know about it at that very moment, not during our weekly stand-up meetings. Thirdly, embedded risk oversight, and this is in fact a big one, because dynamic risk monitoring with configurable risk, key risk indicators and automated alerts is something that will help you to kind of start being proactive and not being just reactive to the problems that you're having in your trials. And that is in fact the difference between risk management and risk-based oversight as well. The fourth being quality by design. Now, this again connects back to the E6R3 regulations that we spoke of in the previous slide. Risk-based study workflows that aren't layered on top of your process, but is actually integrated within it. And finally, centralized sponsor oversight, which is basically, means, you have, KPI driven tracking of data quality, deviations, as well as monitoring timelines. So, effectively you have audit ready evidence that does not require anyone, to, pull together reports on their weekends and submit it to you on a Monday as well. So now, I spoke about 5 capabilities, and when all of these are, present together on one platform, on one common data model, it will help you to fundamentally change the way in which clinical operations and your clinical teams work. The manual reconciliation will definitely go away, silos will go away, and then and you will actually get something which is genuinely inspection ready at all point of time. Moving to the next slide, please. Okay, so now we get into what unified, like we spoke about unified a lot in the previous slide, but then now let's really get into the the thick of things in terms of what actually unified means in a real world clinical trial scenario during the study startup process. And if and I'm sure you all of you would have been in the clinical operations process long enough to know that the startup is where timelines get crushed the most. Sites take longer to activate than planned, documents get filed late, and by the time the first patient walks into the door, you're already left behind. This slide talks of the 5 key stages of a study startup and shows the changes that happen when your CTMS and eTMF are on the same platform. Stage 1, which is protocol and risk planning. Now, this is where it all begins, and in a unified system, your eTMF filing will also begin from here. Not later, not after you have already started with the trial. So your protocol, your amendments, your key risk, management plans, they're all filed into the eTMF from day one. Your KRIs are embedded from the very beginning, and not designed to be added in month 6, but rather during month 0 itself. Stage 2 is feasibility and site selection. This is where centralized feasibility of data comes into play. Site selection that is actually driven by actual performance history and risk profile, and not just through your relation history that you have with the particular site. And the feasibility assessments that are being taken, the investigator CVs that are being sent, they all get filed into the eTMF as you go along, and not at a certain later point of time. Stage 3, which is the site contracting and the IRB. So unified workflow means that your contract, your contractual process, your local regulatory submissions, as well as the feasibility activities, they are all happening in parallel along with the study and with full sponsor visibilities. So the CT, so basically the ICFs, the EC approvals, as well as the regulatory approvals, they all get filed into the eTMF as and when these documents appear as part of your trial startup process. Stage 4 is site activation. This is where real-time milestone tracking plus risk aligned monitoring happens. So if a site is falling behind, you see it, and you can definitely act upon it before it actually becomes a problem. So your SIV report, your delegation of authority log, all gets filed into the eTMF as part of your workflow, not as an afterthought. And finally, stage 5, which is of your first patient, first visit, and this is in fact the moment which everybody was working towards, right? And when you have a unified platform, your FPFV automatically triggers real-time enrollment visibility, automated risk monitoring, signed ICFs and enrollment documentations are captured, and your trial is live, and your eTMF is already available with all the latest information that you need. Now, as you can see here, the difference that I was speaking about in the startup process is just not about speed. It is also about the every step that we do. It leaves a very clean, traceable, and compliant record automatically without you having to manually adjust data. After that, and this kind of makes you and your trial inspection ready right from the get-go. From day one itself. Moving along to the next slide, please. Okay, so slide 10 is where we will talk about how sponsors how we are actually reducing the monitoring effort and costs. And any one of you who have ever looked who has looked at a monitoring budget, you would definitely understand that there would be certain ways in which you can optimize it. So monitoring is one of the biggest cost drivers in any clinical trial, and that is where a lot of cost gets expended, which is inherently because of the fact that we have been reactive and not proactive during the monitoring process. So basically what happens is you send a monitor to a site, and because something went wrong or might be wrong, or because the protocol says that at a certain point of time, so perhaps in X weeks a monitor has to visit the site. And you do this because it is mentioned in the protocol, but not because the data is telling that at this particular site something is wrong or something might be wrong and something needs attention. And that is exactly what risk-based monitoring is supposed to fix. And this slide that I have here shows how it actually works in practice. So what happens is we start with an ongoing KRI review. Your key risk indicators are configured per study, which are being monitored continuously, not reviewed once a quarter, but then, as I said, it is monitored continuously. And they're also proportional, which means that low risk sites get less intensive oversight, whereas resources get concentrated to sites which actually need that oversight. Now, when a KRI breach happens, it actually triggers a visit decision, and this is when the unified platform really earns its trust, because the system documents that rationale was rational in the sense like whether the visit that happened, was it a remote review or was that an on-site visit, and if it happened either of this, why did it happen, what was the reason behind it. The decision trail is captured automatically, and this is exactly what the E6R3 regulation expects as well. Now, when the visit, the monitoring visit itself is executed in the platform, the source data verifications, the deviations are logged against milestones, follow-up actions are assigned, and all of them, they all stay in one place within the same platform. And your visit reports, your SDB documentation, your follow-up letters, they all get filed within the eTMF as part of this workflow. Now, after this visit has happened, there is the deviation management as well, which is, like deviations, they get logged in, with the root cause analysis. Kappa is tracked to closure, not in a separate system, but within the same CTMS, not in emails, but within the same eClinical, the CloudBiz eClinical platform, with a completed audit trail as well as a very documented eTMF as well. And throughout all of this, the sponsor will have a very direct visibility to the entire set of operations. They will have real-time access to the CTMS data, the EDC, and the eTMF status. Live KPI tracking would be available to the sponsors, and they would not have to really wait for CROs to send over the reports, or neither do they have to actually wait for reconciliation calls to happen. Just a single dashboard for the sponsors that will tell them actually what is happening across their entire portfolio of studies. And finally, the result of all of this is they will need fewer on-site visits, faster issue resolution as it happens, and definitely lower monitoring costs, because a part of it becomes online as well. And adding to all of this, you would have a cleaner audit trail, because everything that's happening within the system is documented very particularly, and there is no separate email threads or spreadsheets that have to be logged in. Okay, so that is what we had as part of the monitoring slide, and with that we move to the final slide of the day, which is the CloudBiz AI agent, the CTMS AI agent. Okay, so let's talk of the the AI agent that we have for you here, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the most exciting part of this particular webinar. So the CTMS AI agent, the way we have conceptualized it is basically organized across 3 phases of a clinical visit, right before the visit happens, during the visit, and after. And at each phase it is doing something useful and meaningful, not just generating text, but actually surfacing intelligence from your data to help the teams make faster decision, and with documented insights. So let's start with the first stage, which is pre-visit intelligence, which happens before the visit. So this again has visit schedule monitoring, wherein the AI is continuously watching your visit windows, and when a subject's visit is actually approaching or is becoming out of window, it actually flags it. The second is out of window alerts, which is the same idea, but then it is more reactive. It is it's more proactive rather than being reactive. And then finally there is the pre-visit readiness guidance, wherein before a monitor actually sets foot on a site, the AI can surface a readiness summary, which is which has basically the outstanding queries, the pending ICFs, and any overdue deviations that all need to be spoken about during this particular visit that the monitor is making. Next up, we have the during the visit scenarios, wherein we have the upcoming visit checklist, which is generated dynamically based on the subject's history and the protocol requirements. Then there is a printable visit guide, and then finally the AI trend awareness, wherein the AI can surface adverse event patterns across similar patients, so the monitor is walking in with that context when he is coming to the site. Finally, we also have during the visit, during visit use cases, we have the concomitant medication guidance, which kind of flags potential interactions or protocol violations based on the subject's current medication list. And finally, we move to the last bit of the scenario, which is after the visit, circling more on deviation and compliance. Now, with plan versus actual comparison, the AI actually looks at what was supposed to happen in the visit versus what actually happened, and then surfaces and highlights the gap. The deviation detection and prompt, it is it kind of it does not just help in finding the deviation, but it also helps to prompt the user to categorize it and document the root cause, initiate a kappa as well, and finally the workflow that was completed is also embedded. And finally, we have the deviation compliance assistant, which helps the team to ensure the response is complete, document, as well as traceable. So that when a auditor is asking for it, maybe say 6 months down the line, everything is already available to be shown to the auditor when it is needed. Okay, so with that, we complete with the slides and also give you an overview of what the CTMS AI agent we have been building. I will now pass it over to Wade to start with the demonstration of our tool.
All right, thank you, Tony. That was wonderful, and thank you for laying out the presentation so well. Now let's focus on a demo, and let's show you guys how our system makes all of that happen. And also, I'm very excited to show you the protocol intelligence agent. The first thing first, when you log in, you land on this page. This is where you would find a unified platform as well. On the left, you would see 9 dots. This is where if you happen to use our EDC, eTMF, CTMS, safety PB, you can have all of that in one platform, segregated by your role profile. So that's something we can do in the system. Now, right away, when you land here, you see a real-time dashboard, number of studies number of sites by study status, monitoring report summaries, protocol deviation, subject enrollment trends. Essentially, anything you're tracking in the system can become a chart or report on this page. Um, and the most important thing is that every role or profile gets its own view. So if you're a project manager and you see milestones and enrollment numbers, that's what you want to track, and that's what we can set it up. If you're a CRA, you would see your monitoring schedules and open action items. A medical monitor would see safety flags. So nobody is really drowning in the data, which they don't really care about. And these are not static. You can click through it, you can drill down, you can move to any site based on the data you see here. So it's all pretty interactive. And on the right side, you would see interactive areas or productivity areas. So if you had any events, any task, you would find it here as well. Um, Jumping through different journey points in your study. So account is where all your business entities would exist. So um, if you're a CRO, you would see all your sponsors and site accounts here. If you're a sponsor, you would see all your CROs and sites you're working with. And if you're a site, you can find all your sponsors or CROs that you work with. So you can track all those entities. You can kind of track all the site performance metrics within the site account. So this is where you would store a lot of information about the sites you work with, the CROs you work with, the sponsors you work with, based on who you are in the system. Here's the clinical study, and this is where you can arrange your clinical study as well based on what you want to track. So you can track clinical studies phase perspective. You can have studies by therapeutic area, by region, and then you can see a list of all the studies for a specific sponsor if you're a CRO, or if you are a sponsor, you can set it up as per site. So this is where you can really get creative based on how you want to slice and dice this data and see all the studies in the way you would want to. Now, I'm going to click on a clinical study called RCT. So at the very top, you would see what we call as compact layout. So your key identifiers in glance, protocol number, NCT, ID, phase, therapeutic area. This ribbon shows you exactly where your study is right now in its life cycle. So is it in startup, enrolling, conduct, any status, and it's all configurable. Everything you see on the page can be tailored to what you need and what workflows you follow. Now, on the design tab, you would find this is where your study design lives in the platform. So your protocol versions, and this is something we're going to show you how our agent helps with. But this is where you can track all your protocol version 1, 2, as you get protocol amendments. You can keep the track of it here. One of the most important pieces is visit plan. System can build your own visit plan as it is from the protocol. On the left, you would see procedures. On the top, you would see visits. This table is a backbone that feeds everything downstream: subject tracking, monitoring, financial module, etc. And then if your study have multiple study arms, system can also track that. And as well as if you run studies in multiple regions, countries, states, etc., we can track that too. Under project management, you would see study level milestones and site level milestones. Or right now we're looking at study level milestones. So you would see all the milestones and task. All of that can be drilled down, can be set up, can have a start date, expected end date, and you can track if you're on track with those milestones or not. At the same time, you can also add study team members into the system. Now, I just showed you protocol and visit plan sitting inside the system. But let me ask you, how many times a week does a CRA or a site coordinator needs to look up something within a protocol? Um, for example, what procedures are required at this visit? What medications are allowed? Is this visit still inside window? This means opening up that 200-page protocol PDF, searching through it, and hoping you land on the right section. So as Sunil was mentioning, we built something to eliminate that entirely. Here's our protocol intelligence agent that we wanted to show you today. This is AI-powered assistant built right into the CTMS that lets anyone interact with protocol in a plain language. So think of it as a protocol expert sitting right next to you, available around the clock. It not just reads the protocol; it actually pulls live data from your CTMS to give you compliance insights. Now, when you launch this protocol intelligence agent, the agent will prompt you obviously some options you can use. But let's start with a very simple question: what are the procedures for visit 3? So as this agent, a very simple question, what are the procedures for visit 3? What do I need to do at visit 3? And give this agent a few seconds. Yeah, and now as you can see, the agent comes right back with answers. So visit 3 is day 1 treatment start, exact timing, no window tolerance, and here's the full checklist: randomization, physical exam, vital signs, safety labs, study drug dosing, biomarker labs, pro assessment, etc. Source directly from the schedule of events, assessments in the protocol. And here's the nice part. So CRA can say, just email this checklist to me. So I can say, email this checklist to me. The system identifies who is sending to, and it will actually automatically format and send this email to me. And just found my email, and I said, yes, please send this email to me. So straight up, I would get this email into my mailbox where I would have this site checklist sent to me. And this actually is not just a plain email; it actually attaches a Word document, which actually gives me the whole site checklist, including what I just asked with the 3 procedures required. This is something I can send to the site in seconds, if not minutes. Coming back here, and now imagine the value of this for the site teams. Same agent can be made available through a site portal, so sites can look up things on their own without having to call CRA every time. Let's look at the next command. I would say, what are the pre-visit instructions for V6? So this is again going to look into the protocol, which is in the system. It's going to analyze, and it's going to give me the pre-instructions required for visit 6, which is in the week 24 visit. So it's again looking into the document, which is uploaded to the system. You don't have to scroll through all the 200 pages to find this information. The agent will look this up for you. All right. As you can see, I got a bunch of information. So agent tells me that everything I need to prepare for the site, lab kits to get ready, CT imaging to schedule, etc. It also tells me patient restrictions, if you see closely right here. Placebo switch criteria, pro assessment timing, and it flags critical node. This is a blinded study, and the site staff must not attempt to determine whether patient is on placebo or an active drug. So when I'm reading through a protocol, this is something I might be able to analyze, but agent doing this for you would save so much time with someone scrolling through the whole protocol page and finding this out. Now, this is exactly the kind of detail that prevents a protocol deviation or something worse. Moving on to the next use case, as Tony was talking about concomitant medication, let me ask that. So I'm asking this agent a very real scenario. A site calls CRA and says our patient just has had an adverse event. Can we give corticosteroids instead of CRA flipping through the protocol, they just ask an agent what are the concomitant medications allowed in this case. And the answer almost comes back pretty quickly, which says it's allowed. And these are the ones that are allowed as a concomitant medication. So short course systematic corticosteroids for immune-related adverse event per protocol guidelines are allowed. Also allowed bisphosphonates, sorry for my pronunciation on that. And then critically, it also lists the prohibited concomitant medication quickly. So no other investigational agents, no strong inhibitors, no live vaccine during study, all source from protocol within the exact section, and also tells you the source and the page it's pulling this from. So if somebody wants to double check, because this is a very critical information, they would find the exact section within that protocol where they can go and find this. So it's just not about convenience, what we're talking about. A wrong concomitation medication can compromise your entire trial data. Having this answer in seconds instead of minutes makes a real difference in compliance, which has been the core of this webinar so far. Let's switch some gears and ask, show me the out of window visits in this study. So now this is where your agent goes beyond just reading the protocol document. It's gonna pull live data from your CTMS. It runs visit compliance analysis across subject and flags everything. 8 visits out of window, 6 future visits already scheduled. Let me scroll up so you can see that. 6 future visits already scheduled outside allowed window, 4 are missed overdue. For each one, you get subject ID, site, the visit, how many days or late it was, and whether protocol deviation has been filed. Where it has not been filed, it flags it right there. What action is required? So in this case, you can see protocol deviation filed, major closed, view PD record, and I can click and see the PD record right away. In this one, it says, for example, the third one, it says action required, no protocol deviation filed a PD immediately. So system gives a recommendation as well and tells you where PD is required versus where PD has already been filed, including the record of the PD. So it's your PD, protocol deviation reconciliation, done in seconds, which I've heard sometimes takes an hour or in normal workflow. So let's continue on this path. Let's ask him, what are the scheduled out of window visits for this study? So this is my final use case, and one of the use cases I'm pretty excited about. These visits have not yet happened. They're scheduled in futures, but the agent has already identified that they fall outside the allowed visit window. For example, subject 101004. The visit 6 is scheduled 5 days too early. It tells you all those insights as well. The visit is going to occur in 74 days. Agent tells CRA exactly what to do, contact the site immediately and schedule inside the allowed window. So you're preventing protocol deviation before they happen. And this is the shift from reactive to proactive monitoring, which Tunir spoke about. And this is the exact direction ICH E6 R3 is pushing the industry towards. So as just to summarize, preventing deviation before they occur is the gold standard of risk-based monitoring under R3. And this agent turns from an aspiration to actual actionable agent, which can help you prevent the protocol deviation, as we saw. Back to my CTMS demo. So that was one of the AI agent which we are bringing. We have so many, on the way, which is going to enhance all your experience like this and make your trial smooth and risk-free as much as it can. So moving on, we spoke about the CTMS homepage. We spoke about the details. We spoke about design, where you can track all your protocol, visit plan. And then we saw the project management, where you can track your milestones and tasks. You can add your study team members. And then we had a quick look at our protocol intelligence agent. Moving on for rest of the CTMS solution, this is the feasibility. So you can track and handle the whole feasibility process from the system. And it's divided into a 3-step process. First is you would send feasibility survey from the system. Site fills it in, which is step 2. And step 3 is you analyze. So sending feasibility is pretty easy. We have a plus icon right here. You can select contacts you would like to send this feasibility to. With interest of time, I may not go through the whole feasibility process today, but you can select which contact you're sending this feasibility to. We have the whole site profiling, site selection process as well, or feature as well, that you can utilize and kind of shortlist the sites that you want to send feasibility to. So let's assume you've done that. You know which sites you want to send the feasibility. You select those. You can select many sites, one site or multiple site, up to your process. And you can also filter them by therapeutic area, or if you want to send this feasibility to certain role like PI at the site, you can do that. And you can select them, as many as you would like to send. Oh, sorry, I closed this whole feasibility. And then the system also makes sure that everything is automated, which means you don't have to write the feasibility email. And as well as system has pre-built your feasibility template. So everything, including the email, as well as the actual feasibility surveys that site would get, is automated. All you have to do is select who this goes to, and then you can review your feasibility questions, and the system will automatically, once you review it, you click on send. System will send out the feasibility. Sites would get an email. They don't have to log into any portal or anything like that. They will just get a plain email that where they can log in, they can fill out the survey, and then you can view all the surveys in the viewer responses. Now, we also make sure that we make this process seamless for you. So while you're analyzing all the responses you got from site, you can filter out by specific questions. Let's say it's very important for you to find out if site utilizes satellite facilities. If that's true, you can select those two questions and filter out your whole survey by just that one question, and then open it up for other questions. So we make it very interactive, so you can go around, select the questions that matters to you, and then filter out the responses as well. If you want to filter out by yes, no, we have options to filter out by responses itself. So yeah, just making sure your experience is really seamless while you analyze the feasibility survey that you receive from the sites. And this is where the human judgment comes in. Your entire trial depends on choosing the right site, and the system gives all data in one place to make the right decisions that you need to consistently. Moving on this workflow, we have projections too. So you can build out site level projections, study level projections within the system. You can capture all the study startup checklist, study regulatory checklist in the system as well. You can track all your clinical sites. Once you do the feasibility process, you can move to the green light process for clinical sites. So you can see all the clinical sites right now being tracked within the study. I can click on one of the clinical sites and show you what it looks like. So this, again, the same consistent view that you saw at the study level is now at the site level. You see on the top which study it belongs to, site number, etc. You would see different details about the site now, and some key metrics coming in. Now, this is where our system can integrate with an external EDC, or if you're using CloudBase EDC, it becomes even more seamless, where all of these dates, this data, subject enrollment data can come in seamlessly from the system. But yeah, this is something which is coming in from an EDC, and then you can track it within the CTMS. And then within the clinical sites, you would see site level regulatory approval details, IRB approval details, site level project management. So we saw the study level milestones and tasks. Now we're looking at site level milestones and tasks, site teams, etc. The site level subject enrollment projections can be tracked as well. You can click on one of it, show you that this is how the projections is going on, actual versus forecast versus plan. So this is now at the site level, and this rolls up to the study level, or the site level checklist as well. And then the monitoring. So monitoring, you have a calendar view showing, and let me go a month back. Yeah, so you have a calendar view showing all your planned confirmed visit by month. Creating a new visit is straightforward. You can just select this, select your visit type. It could be SQV, IMV, COV, assign your monitor, set day. System supports both on-site and remote monitoring workflows. When a CRA is on-site, let me open up an IMV. When CRA is on-site, it can open up a report which will have a properly defined sections. As you can see here, these are all the sections within this monitoring report. CRA can fill this in and then send some queries out to PI and monitors, as PI and CRCs as well, which they can resolve. And while they're doing the visits, they can always capture any action items, protocol deviation, adverse event as it is happening. The system can automate follow-up letters and confirmation letter and action items, as well. As we are building more AI agents, we also have a plan to build, or it's also in the roadmap to build a monitoring report agent, which will automatically do some of these action items, reminders, etc., without a human intervention needed there. So that's coming in. Going back to the site, we have subjects, which is again integrated with an EDC, so you can capture some information about the subject in the CTMS itself, but core of the subject data will be residing in the EDC. So again, we can integrate with external EDC, or we can, if you use cloud-based EDC, it becomes even more seamless. At the site level, all the adverse event that has been captured and all the protocol deviation that has been captured should be seen under the site AEPDs. And again, similarly, if I go back to study, I can show you study level AE and PD, as we were talking about, and we are seeing some of the protocol deviation earlier. This is where you can capture some of the information about protocol deviation that has been noted. Has there been any notification from IRB, IAC? Is there a protocol deviation classification, major, minor, is kappa required, etc.? And a lean version of kappa can also be tracked from the system. So that being said, this is a very quick overview of our CTMS in line with the theme of the webinar, and as well as our protocol intelligence agent. What you saw today is single platform where your study planning, site management, feasibility monitoring, compliance all live together under one roof with real-time dashboard, structured workflow that replaces the spreadsheet way of tracking these and disconnected tools, what most teams are still running on. And layered on top of that, you saw one of our many upcoming AI agent that turns your protocol from a static 200-page document into a living queryable knowledge base. So your CRAs, site teams, monitors can get instant sourced answer, as we saw on the live demo, in a plain language without ever leaving the system or scrolling through that 200-page complicated long document. So yeah, the 3 takeaways I would love to leave you guys with is: first, disconnected point solutions create operational drag. A unified platform eliminates the gap where issues hide and where time gets wasted. And the second key takeaway is real-time visibility into enrollment. Site activation, visit compliance means you act on problems before they become an audit findings. And the third is AI is not replacing clinical judgment. It's giving your team faster access to the right information so they can make better decisions, as we saw in our demo right now. The protocol intelligence agent is the force multiplier for every CRA and every site on your study.
Thank you very much, Tanir and Ved. Honestly, it was such an interesting demo of the product. If there's anything that we've missed, or if you have any follow-up questions, please do reach out to us anytime. You can email us at info@cloudbiz.com. You can always drop us a message on cloudbiz.com/contact us. And that's all. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. On behalf of the entire CloudBiz team, thank you so much, and you have a great rest of the day. Thank you.